It seems like everywhere you go, especially when they have these little, what are they, stripes or squares? When you put the card in, they're asking for a tip. And I would like to know what the etiquette is for tipping, because in my mind, you have this idea that businesses are adding the tipping as a way to make enough money that they can pay their employees less. So that's what's going on in my mind when I am the little thing gets swung around and it says, they say something like, well, you can you can pick whatever you want, or however they say it, try to, what is it, guilt tipping or shame tipping or whatever they call it. And I think that if you're in a situation, the traditional environment is going to be in a restaurant where you have a server who has the option to upgrade your level of interaction or your level of service in some way by doing a good job, bringing the drinks back to the table, making sure that your food is the way you wanted it, and making sure that you have everything you need, sort of taking care of you. It gives you an opportunity to sort of say thank you and give them a tip. And that's I think a tried and true, situation in which tipping is appropriate and well received by the person giving the tip. I always tip 20%. Even if I get bad service, to be honest with you, I don't feel like I'm going to punish somebody who's having a bad day. And then even if not, I think I do a little bit of guilt tipping. But I was talking to my daughter about this, and she said, anytime that I have to get my own food and I'm standing up, I don't feel like I need to give a tip. So I went to a place the other day and I bought some food that they were cooking behind a counter. It was like a carry out type place, and it was very expensive. And I was asked for a tip and I declined the tip, and I felt guilty about it because the person's standing right there behind the counter. And in those types of environments, when you're at like a carry out place, I think the assumption is the person who's ringing you out is not even necessarily getting the tip to begin with, right? Like if I'm buying like at a seafood carryout or something like that, like the person who works there is probably just getting hourly wage. The tip is just going to go to the top line of the business. And my thought is maybe what they could do is, try to lower their prices and make it up in tips. But I just feel like the tipping idea doesn't make sense in that situation. Like you're going to get the same service no matter what you're doing. So then the other big one is food trucks. Anytime you order anything from a food truck, they're all using the square. It's like built in, but I've seen it even at like liquor stores and like just regular places that you go, gas stations, and they're asking for a tip. And I'm just like, I don't understand what the rules are around tipping. So my thought process is that if the service is not necessarily going to be changed at all by the person doing the tip or receiving the tip, and the person behind the counter is not necessarily receiving the tip anyway, what is the point? And I think this all started at Starbucks, because before Starbucks, it was kind of just pretty cut and dry. You paid tips at restaurants and that was about it. And then it was this idea that you tip the barista, because it kind of started out of this, coffee shop environment where theoretically they're crafting your drink for you, and they're going to make it the way you like it, and they're going to make it extra special for you. And maybe they know your name, and maybe they have your drink ready for you when you walk in, or maybe they add an extra shot or something, and then you can tip them, or they make it, I don't know, however it is you might like it. I could kind of see that a little bit, but you're paying like $7 for a drink at a restaurant. You would assume the tip is built into that. You're assuming that the $7 pays for the person to empty the espresso machine and have to clean the cup when it's all done. Like that's all kind of built into a $7 drink or $10 drink, or however it is you make it. So I'm struggling with this idea of how much we should be guilted into giving tips, because I'm gonna say the premise really is, just keep in mind these businesses, and you can read about it. What they're doing is they're lowering the amount of money they're paying their employees in order to be able to make it up in tips. Like we're gonna get the general public to tip our employees an extra $2 an hour, we're going to pay them less. So all you're really doing is allowing the businesses to pay their employees less. And you're creating this weird guilt trip environment for both the employees who don't necessarily feel entitled to that money anyway, and the person checking out at the counter. So I think it's bad all across the board. And I think we should skip the tipping thing. If you have any other ideas on it, please let me know. If I'm wrong here, I don't want to be a pariah in this world. And I don't want to be like outside of the norm. And I don't like walking out of an establishment feeling like I should have tipped and I didn't. And now I have to feel guilty about it. So that's my thoughts on tipping. I think it's getting out of control. Madison put in the my daughter put in the chat here, hashtag skip the tip. So we're going with that today, guys. Skip the tip. All right. So the next thing I need to talk about is restaurant etiquette and when and who should pay for the bill. I should probably do a separate video on this, but we'll talk about it. So